Hey, welcome back to the Jeradayah channel. Yes, I am back with a new video about narcissistic parents, narcissistic mothers. There are a lot of cars driving behind me right now because I'm outside, and it's just, a whole lot of good things, a whole lot of horse shit. But we're going to keep on exposing these narcissists, and I'm going to keep on talking about narcissistic abuse, about narcissistic parents and narcissistic personality disorders in family. We're going to talk about antisocial personality disorders and, just the dark triad in general. But I want to dedicate this video to narcissistic mothers, because when we talk about narcissism, we mainly talk about the men. He's a narcissist. My ex-boyfriend is a narcissist. My husband is a narcissist. My father is a narcissist. But we rarely actually talk about the female narcissist, especially the narcissistic mother. I think the narcissistic mother does more damage because you assume that the moment a woman becomes a mother, this empathetic, sympathetic nature of motherhood kicks in or gets activated inside of her body, and she immediately will take care of her daughter. But with narcissistic women, that's not the case. Narcissistic women perceive their own daughters to be a competition for male attention. Narcissistic women will oftentimes than not hook up with abusive men or with other narcissistic men, get children with that man, and then grow up as single mothers and whatnot, and then fiddle and diddle around with other men. The issue is that the men that they're oftentimes choosing to have sex with are oftentimes predators. Yes, they're predators, and they have a thing for minor women in that sense, if you know what I'm saying. And these men will fiddle and diddle with their own daughters, and will fiddle and diddle with, the daughters of the narcissistic mother. And instead of, stabbing the nigga to death or doing actually anything, call the cops, call CPS, whatever, or protect their own children, no, a narcissistic mother will look at her daughter as competition. Because especially if she feels she's not sexually appealing to the narcissistic man, the narcissistic woman is going to perceive her daughter to be a competition and look at her like, why does he want to fuck you? Why does he want to fiddle and diddle with you? Why does he want to touch you? She's not going to look at the situation like this older man just touched my child. No. A narcissistic woman will not do that. A narcissistic woman will look at her own daughter as nothing more than a side piece. Nothing more than a side piece, and be like, why are you getting the attention, the sexual attention that I actually want, but never get from this man? Because this man is a narcissist. He doesn't love me, but he actually loves fiddling and dealing with my daughter. Why is that? Why is it like that? Because your mother is a narcissist. That woman is a narcissist. She only cares about being sexually appealing to men, to get validation from other men. And the moment her own daughter gets any type of sexual attention from the man that the narcissistic woman is fucking with, she's going to turn against her own daughters and be like, fucking bitch, blah blah, and treat her as if she's just a side piece, a slut, a pass around. That's it. Y'all know the movie Precious. Y'all know the movie Precious and what she did to her own daughter. Her daughter got beat up and molested by the man she was fucking with. And then instead of actually defending her daughter, no, she's going to take it out on her daughter and blame her daughter for, that her boyfriend didn't want to touch her, but only wanted to touch her daughter. Make it make sense. And that's like a real life example of narcissistic women and how they actually treat their daughters. And if narcissistic women really are careless and heartless, they're going to purposely get into violent relationships with other men, not because they like the men, but because they hate the daughters. And they're going to expose the daughters to male violence, male aggression, violent relationships, all these things. And they're going to program the child, look, this is what real love is. This is real love. If a man doesn't treat you like that, he doesn't love you. If a man doesn't beat you up, he doesn't love you. If a man isn't cheating onto you, he doesn't love you. If a man is not actually, taking advantage of you sexually, he doesn't love you. That's what narcissistic women are purposely teaching their daughters by getting into relationships with other toxic narcissistic men, because they hate their daughters. They see their daughters as competition, and because narcissistic mothers are deeply insecure and jealous and envious, they need other men to make them look good. They need other men to make them look good, because the only life purpose for a narcissistic woman is to be appealing to other men. She can lie and say shit like, I'm an independent woman, but you still need a motherfucking man to actually just be happy in general. Make it make sense. And if she's also going to do this, she's going to be legally married to one man and then fiddle and diddle around with other men and expose her daughter to all these men she's fiddling and diddling with, so she can at least say, well, I'm married, I got a man, y'all see this ring? I got a ring on my finger because, at least I got a man. And the man that she's married to doesn't want a divorce, because it also looks good on paper to him that he's begging a wife. He's begging a woman. It's like, I'm married. I got this bitch on my ring. You know what I'm saying? That's what they like. Both are cheating. Both are delinquent. And what they're just going to do is they're going to program their children and teach the children that, cheating is normal. Sexual abuse is normal. If an older man fiddles and diddles you, that's normal. Constantly being in violent relationships is normal. Your entire life revolving around being sexually appealing to other men is normal, and they're going to groom their own daughters to do the same thing. If the daughter gets into an abusive relationship, the mother all of a sudden comes and she's going to gaslight the daughter and be like, well, you choose to be with that man. I never told you to go with that man, but you actually did tell her that, because you're programming her. You have programmed her, saying that if a man doesn't treat you, abusively, he doesn't love you. That's how you tell your daughter to get into abusive relationships, because if you constantly tell your daughter, that if a man doesn't treat her the same way her abusive father treated her, then it's not love. So even if a healthy, loving man comes along and tries to love the daughter of a narcissistic woman, the daughter of the narcissistic woman is going to be turned off, because she's like, this doesn't provoke any drama or trauma or any emotional reaction. And my mother told me, if a man isn't putting his hands onto me, if a man is not putting, his toxic tongue onto me or in me, then it's not love. It's not love, because abuse is love. That's what narcissistic women do. Narcissistic women hate their daughters so much that they're going to psychologically manipulate the daughter to make them believe that they need to go after an abusive man. They need to go after an abusive man and submit. I'm talking about whole housewife submission to a man that is beating them up, harassing them, violating them, and force himself onto her. That's what they do. That's what they do. And the issue with this is that when the narcissistic woman daughter grows up, she becomes a narcissistic woman herself, just like her mother, and she's going to repeat the same cycle, going after older abusive men, get children with that man, and then hate their own daughters and going to abuse their own children. That's why a narcissistic mother is the worst type of mother you can have. I'm going to make more videos about narcissistic abuse, so stay tuned. See you in the next video.